rise for a moment of silence. Thank you. If you could turn and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do a roll call of the council members present.
Manel.
Here.
Shaver.
Here.
Cassidy.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Mendoza. Here. Logsdon.
Here.
Lake.
Here.
We will entertain a motion for the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a first by Councilperson Manel, a second by Councilperson Logsdon. Clerk, could you call the roll?
Manel.
Yes.
Shaver.
Yes.
Cassidy.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Mendoza. Abstain. Logsdon.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
Thank you. Those do carry. Any communications?
Yes. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control is asking if council wants a hearing for a permit to JHJ LLC, which is from Haridi LLC, doing business as Seneca Carryout.
Can anybody fill us in more information?
I believe Seneca Carryout was already in business, and Haridi moved. They took over and switched names, so they already have a liquor license. So they're just now wanting it to be under their new name, Haridi.
New name or new ownership?
It is the same owner as Seneca Carryout, and Haridi are the same person.
And Seneca Carryout is located?
Down by Buckley's, on Buckley Street.
Thank you.
And I already know this because I did the closing. That's how I know. Sorry.
Does anyone desire a hearing for this? Seeing no interest, I think we're good.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll start with report of the committees. Finance Committee, we have not met since the last meeting. Our next meeting will be, I believe it's the 19th at 5:30 p.m. in these chambers. That is Finance Committee's report. Public Affairs, do you have a report?
Yes, just a reminder that the Public Affairs Committee has teamed up with the local UAW to host a voter registration event. That's this Sunday from noon until 5 p.m. at the Union Hall on North Union Street. So if you can encourage anybody that could benefit from attending, I would really appreciate that. And then we will be having a Public Affairs Committee meeting on September 19th at 5 p.m. here in council chambers, just to convene since we have a new committee member. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you very much. Law and Ordinance Committee.
We haven't had a meeting since our last one on August 15th. The one coming up is going to be September 19th at 5:15 here in the council chambers.
Thank you very much. We'll move into reports of the officers. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. There's a couple things to talk about on some of the water situation. So we did have those cold nights that caused an early late turnover for us this year, and then at the same time we were about to change out from the temporary pack feed to the permanent pack feed, which then happened on the 18th. The permanent pack feed system went into place. I know there was an issue with one of the pumps in the temporary pack feed system that caused that. At the same time, we were having the early late turnover to cause some of our issues. I know it's straightened out with the permanent pack feed system quite a bit, and then we have 4 filters that we're going to be changing out, and the people at the plant will be doing that themselves, and that'll. We knew we'd have some issues with using the temporary pack feed system. At some point, there might have a filter system get saturated with the MIPs that are in the water. So we change those out. We should be right back to where we were prior to the changeover and the big turnover. And I know there's, I've been hearing some things about, lead in the water, that kind of thing. But the issue, what we're doing is like every community in Ohio and the United States, early in, when water systems were put in, lead lines, galvanized lines were what went to people's houses until sometime later on in the 1900s. So there's a requirement now from the EPA that we locate and map out any lead service lines that are still in existence. So we are in that phase of the EPA project right now. I know that we continue to do the testing on lead. There's not a lead issue in our water. It's that the lead service lines is what the EPA wants cities to eliminate. So we are currently, maybe people from the water department reaching out to maybe look at your service lines so we can map them. We are in the process right now of using everything in our current card system in the water office to put them on a form of GIS type mapping that the EPA requires. So a lot of that will be done in-house, but there's still some places we're going to have to go to make sure that we are able to give a report to the EPA on just how many lead lines are still in Fostoria, and then we will go about eliminating them as we move forward. There will be grants available, but the big thing right now is to get them all located and put on a map and in a form the EPA requires, and then we will continue on with the elimination of those as we move forward. But there is not a lead issue with our water. It is a requirement of the EPA that we begin to eliminate lead service lines. And when we find them, and that's one of the things that we're working on doing right now. There's a lot of different public events that are going on here in the next week or so I'm going to fill you in on those because there's a bunch of them. This Thursday, the 7th, from 4 to 9 is the next Farmers and Artisans Market downtown. The theme this time is Seneca County, sponsored by Destination Seneca County. And then on the 9th, this Saturday, from 10 to noon is Hope in Fostoria's 2023 Fostoria Walk for Recovery. And they will have a lot of resource tables, and they'll have some raffle prizes, kids activities, and food vendors, and guest speakers to try to, anybody who is recovering from an addiction can come or wishes to recover from an addiction. Here's a flyer. We posted, I think, on our Facebook page. If anybody would like to participate in that on Saturday. And then on Monday, September 11th, is our ceremony for 9/11 at 10 a.m. At the fire station, we'll have both chiefs will speak. We'll have a couple of pastors on board. Someone from the Seneca County Veteran Services will be on hand to speak. It'll be roughly a half an hour ceremony, but we don't want that day to go by without commemorating that awful events from 2000. So the last thing I have is as far as events, is the Jeff Schiff Run. It's a 5K only this year at the reservoir on Sunday, September 17th. That registration is available. You can find them on Facebook, and you can get registered still. Running that if you'd like. Registration begins at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, September 17th at the park shelters at City Park. And the kids run is at 10, and the 5K is at 11 a.m. And then I want to bring you up to date on the splash pad. So we had put the slides on Gov Deals, and they sold for $10,000 along with some of the parts of the pool that were no longer needed, and so that company, it's a campground from roughly a couple hours away, came and took the slides down already, and so the next piece in the fall will be the demolition of the old bathhouse and the pool and the old concession stand, and the plan is to have construction happen potentially in the fall or in the winter with the opening of the splash pad, we hope by spring of next year, 2024. So I think that is my report for now, unless you have any other questions for me. Yes, sir.
Whatever came with the discussion of SCAT teaming with Fostoria Police to create?
So that's still going on. I know that there was a bid opening. I think everything was above the estimated price, so they're going to go back and reevaluate the plan that's put together and get that back out.
Okay. So it came in higher than expected, so a rebid?
Yep. But that is still on schedule to happen. The grant is still valid, and looking forward to having that project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director of Law, do you have anything this evening?
Very briefly, since we weren't able to pass the appropriation legislation last meeting, we will need to pass that as an emergency tonight. And just as a reminder from Cindy, the purpose of that, the general fund and street appropriation increases were for line items that needed more appropriations for telephones. And the appropriation in the civil service needed more money because of all the new hiring. Brownfield grant was for the gas station. The city is going to get a $265,000 grant, and there's already $50,000 budgeted. Appropriations needed to be increased an additional $215,000, and an amended certificate will be requested to the county auditor, and the charter government is to zero out that fund.
So that last piece is for the Clark gas station. It should be the final phase of the Clark gas station cleanup, which will get rid of that old building, all the concrete, and then that'll be a nice green space ready for everything. That's done.
Thank you very much. This time we'll move into the public portion of the meeting. We will start with a requested speaker, and then after that speaker's finished, anybody that wishes to speak will be limited to 3 minutes. And we just ask that you focus your time on council and city of Fostoria related issues. Mr. Watkins, would you like to come up and speak?
I would.
Thanks.
Thank you. I get more than 3 minutes, so I got provided. They say pictures are worth 1,000 words, so I don't know where I'd like to start these. I guess right here. And, these are from the train tracks where I'm going to call it the dump, whatever you want to call it, is where they're running their cars, and there's a creek right there, and they say they're only building material. Well, that might be fine if it's building material, but doesn't that asbestos come in building material, old, tore up? And when it rains, it runs right through those railroad cars, right into that creek. Our water is so bad out there, it's terrible. I mean, my pets won't drink that. They go up to boil water, you can do whatever you want to it, and they won't drink it. They did send me here's my results of my water, one of 18 pages. I got 1.5, and that's all the pages I got. Here's another one that had, well, they're scattered back through, but they're not all here neither. And then you got to try to make out what they are. You guys did ask me to bring them and drop them off. If you can get the rest of them, that'd be great. Is the water drinkable? I doubt. We're lucky who knows what's gonna happen just bathing in this water. I watch people drop dead around me all the time.
And Lou, you're talking about your well on Hugh Street, right?
Yes, but there's 4 more streets there. What gets me is going down Poplar Street towards the dump, they have water on that street. Nobody crossed them over through the side streets. So everyone on Poplar Street has water, city water that wants it. But the rest of us have to suffer for it. I was told within 3 years I would have city water and sewer. That was 25 years ago, and I still yet to see it. And would anybody like to see these, if you can make them out?
Not a chemist.
I didn't figure anybody would. But at some point, you know, we're still human beings out there. We have lives we want to live. We have children and grandchildren we still want to have to be able to raise there, and we can't, not with the water that we're furnished. We have to pump it out of the ground, and we get the field water from where they took and put fertilizer on there, that goes down into the wells, and then the dump water. Where's that going? Oh, they say it runs away from us. I don't believe that. When I first moved there in '78, it wasn't bad water, but my first 2 dogs also died of cancer, a nasty death. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is not right to treat anybody like this, and the dump gets away with it because they have more money than everybody else. Why don't they furnish and run the lines down through there? At least they would get some of these people off their back. Maybe nobody else wants to stand up and say what I'm going to say, but that is not right. We don't want them. We're suffering. We suffer for that, and it's terrible. It's not right. Those tanker cars, what's in those? What are they putting in the ground out there? I mean, really. Besides that asbestos, which everybody tells us is bad for us, my goodness, talk about lead, what are we drinking? We don't drink that water, but we have to shower with it. So we're still getting it. We buy bottled water, jug water, in order to have something to drink, and even to water the pet with. But the water is just taking a toll on everybody out there. Anybody that's got a well out there, it's just time and not much. I shared my thoughts the last time, of watching a lady die of bone marrow cancer. Her husband flew her out to California. That was the closest place she could get treated for that. She sat there was a narcotic that they could give her to stop the pain, and she did that every day till the last breath she took. They couldn't stop the pain for her. They're just falling down dead around me. And is that what everybody's waiting for? That whole area just to die off and then they don't have to worry about it? I mean, when it runs down Poplar Street, I mean, I could see a fire hydrant 500 feet away from my house. So really, somewhere, somebody, the county's not going to do anything for us. They don't care. They're collecting money. And I think that's what it is, dollars. We don't have enough to get it. If I want city water, I have to pay for the whole block. And then if anybody wants to tap into it, well, they pay me, but I don't have that kind of money to plumb the whole block. And I don't know what to do anymore. I mean, it's terrible. Yes.
you received a report on your water quality, right? I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. It's supposed to be an 18-page report, and you got a page and a half, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Was that from the health department, Louis?
I don't,
Yes, it is.
I'm not trying to be wise or anything, but
That's all
did
I
they
got.
give you any kind of an explanation as to why there are pages missing, or
None, none at all.
did you?
I've tried to call them, they won't return my calls now. The guy that had that
Okay.
job
Oh,
quit,
yeah.
probably because too many other people went in the rest of their reports. And here's the other one, but how do you make, if you can make out what that says, I'd be glad to know. But missing pages, how do you fill those in?
Or why are they missing?
How do you know
What
they're
are-
there? How do you know there are 18 pages?
It says on there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I was wondering,
yeah.
how do you?
It says 1 and 2 of 18.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's what this one says, page 1 and page 2 of 18.
Wow.
so what do the rest of the pages say?
So Louis, who was it that told you that you'd have water in 3 years of moving out? there?
Oh,
Was it
Seneca
Realtor?
County, when they tested my well and my water. Well, you'll have city water within 3 years. Of course, you know, who would have thought 25 years ago to take his name down? He probably retired by now anyways. So there's no recourse to that. And then, like I said, he has both the other copy of them. These, of course, aren't the originals. I kept the originals, but that's all they sent me. The big one was the very first one in December, and this last one was June or July. They came out, but then when they came out the second time, where they normally just took a small bunch, well, they came out and took 2 big bunches of different water, retesting it. And they wanted to test it through my softener. I go, no, I have a direct one. I won't even water my garden with it anymore. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to bathe in it. I'm not going to eat it neither. And
Have you gone to the health department meeting or tried to go with them?
I can't find them when they're having them. Isn't that funny? We Googled it.
Wow.
Me and, oh, yeah, I can't think of his name right now. Yeah.
Okay.
My mayor, he's.
Normally they're
Kevin.
downtown in there's a health department building. in
Well,
Tiverton.
evidently they're doing some kind of remodeling.
I thought that was
It's mold-
completed.
It's mold remediation,
Oh,
and their
they're
building
moved
is
temporarily.
closed. They're out
Oh,
at
I didn't know
Fair,
this.
they're out at Fair Lane, over by the fairgrounds in the Tiffin, there's a Tiffin Mercy building on that side street that goes along the fairgrounds there in Tiffin. That's where they're temporarily located while they're closed, while their building is closed for mold remediation.
If you could write that down for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, yes, I can't remember the exact address,
You
but I
can-
can give you a description.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know about the rest of them, but I don't wanna watch my wife die in front of me for that. You know, and how do you justify selling your home knowing that what I could be passing to somebody else? I mean, yeah, I'd like to move, but I can't justify it with an honest heart. I mean, some of us have that, and I do. And I can't do that to somebody. Here, I'm gonna stick you with this, I'm not gonna tell you about the water though. You know, and it's a shame. I mean, you promised one thing and it's just not done. And I have an old house in Fostoria. I thought about, it's a run-down old house. I thought maybe I should just move there. And then there lays the other property with all the nice buildings and stuff we've done to that. And you know, I'm not gonna beg for water. I won't do that. but isn't there some way that we can possibly get at least water? We'll take care of the sewage, but at least water ran to those houses that at least want to connect to them. I mean, understand you guys have bigger issues, you know, permits for this and that, but where's people's lives coming matter into this? I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all anymore.
This area of town,
South End.
excuse me, Mayor, it seems like this area of town is on the edge between Loudon Township.
It's in Loudon County.
Is it?
Yeah, right there. So it's that
Yeah.
point right there at the edge. But we had also issues with dumping station at one point. So,
Yeah,
I
thank
wondered-
you for that dumping station.
well, it was in the health department. That's the
Oh.
reason I'm aware of this. So I'm wondering, it seemed like the health department at that time walked away, and so did everyone else. I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out who's on first.
Yeah, we'll have to reach out to the commissioners.
They both, everybody's got to work together. I think something's got to be,
There's got to be something that can be done,
I don't know what, but it seems like
something to get us
annexed
water.
in or somehow. I don't know what you do.
I mean, if you charge that extra surcharge of 20%, which that's what they charge them on Main Poplar Street, I'm sorry, they charge them a surcharge because they don't get the sewage back, which you guys probably should pay me to keep that, but realistically, can't we have water?
Will they get your phone number before you leave so they can
Yeah, I will.
reach out to the
Sure.
commissioner's office and also to the township trustees and see what they.
I'll do that when we're done,
to
all
try to
right?
help, okay?
I don't want
Thank you.
everybody to know.
No, that's why, wait, I'll have you write on this tablet.
That's it, yeah.
Write on this tablet and I'll reach out to the commissioner's office. You want this picture? This could be a shared time. The township trustees and stuff. I think for any other time.
Well, I really don't, oh, thank you. I really don't know what else to say. You've seen the pictures. They park these train cars right behind people's house trailers. Can you imagine the rats that come up? The house that I own on the end of 6 Jones Street was covered with mouse traps, those sticky boards that blew off the railroad tracks where they were trying to catch some mice. The cats just run wild down there. They're fed well for everything that falls off the railroad cars. It's terrible. I mean, I didn't think it's bad enough they park in town where they're not supposed to, but then they just line them up behind, out of the city limits. We're just lined up with cars. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm disappointed, very disappointed in that.
All of these reports are done for the Seneca County Health Department. They should have all of those pages,
And that's what they sent me.
because they're the second batch of multiple pages. There's one that says 14 of 14, and there's another page that says 14 of something like 38. So there's a lot more pages to that report than what they sent you.
So what are they hiding?
I have no idea.
That's what I'm afraid of too.
Unless they had multiple tests for different sites in one big report or something.
That
I
could
don't
be.
want
That
to
could
say,
be.
I don't know.
That could be. The other pages are for somebody else. I don't know.
We don't know that. We don't know. But you
No.
should be able to request any public information.
And,
That they have
well,
about you.
I had to pull teeth to get these, you know. And then when the gentleman that quit over there, which he probably got a lot of flack over not being able to get the reports out, then they blamed one report I didn't get, oh, must have been your postman. He didn't drop it off. I know my postman. He knows where I live. I'd have got my mail. And mysteriously, 2 days later, I get this in the mail, just one. Yeah, so if there's anything you guys can do, please, that's the best I can do is say please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins.
Thank you.
This time, if anybody else wishes to address city council on council-related business, please limit yourself to 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Deb Tyson, 800 Woodward Avenue, Lot 9, and I have reached out to the EPA. They've got back to me. We're waiting for them to have another meeting here. It's yet to be determined exactly when, but they did answer all my questions that I formulated from everyone. And also the railroad people have questions, and I'm waiting for the answers back from them. I'm a little upset about our railroad card fires that we're having and them not being disclosed for us publicly. I mean, if the fire people go out there and put out the fire, it should be a public matter. Okay, yeah, it was totally put out, it was partially put out. I don't see where the secrecy is there. And then it was handed to the landfill, and of course everybody's keeping that quiet. So now it makes me wonder. Then I did contact the health department. There is a tool that can read people's bills, like the one had there. There is a public health meeting the 4th Thursday of every month, and currently till Christmas it will be at the Education Center in Tiffin. I don't know if anybody knows the exact name. I go there for other reasons, but it's N-O...
NCOESC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
NCOESC.
Okay, at
It's
that...
at the old Kroger building.
Well, at that building, on the 4th Thursday of every month at 6 p.m., there is a Department of Health. You can do like we do here. Public can speak for 3 minutes. So them are the things I found out. I don't know too much more. I'm learning as I go. But the rail car fires have upset me because I'm not used to not having a way to go and say, okay, what's going on? So if anybody's got an idea, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jill Filliator, 402 West Culberson Street. Just doing some quick follow-up from our last meeting. As you know, I had some questions regarding the funds and Park and Rec and the board. I did put a request in right after the meeting to be considered for part of the board, and just waiting for a response on that. Social media has a wonderful way of being very misinformative and sometimes informative. And there was a slight thing going on about Portage Park, which I thought I needed to follow up with. They were saying that there was rumor mill that it was going to be an EPA issue because of the landfill coming up with soil problems. When I did pull up the 2016 report, it did say that there was 2 areas of soilage that was recommended that had to be corrected. I cannot find anywhere that we addressed that, and I'm hopeful that someone here might be able. We have track cross-country runners that run through it. The report that's on the webpage actually shows the 2 site areas that they are saying had the contaminant, but that is from 2016. So I would anticipate that it has been addressed, but I don't see anything follow up on that. So I was hopeful that maybe council would be able to inquire about that for me. The other thing that I was talking about is the dog warden situation. I went online on Indeed.com and found it quite interesting that in Kenton, Ohio, they have what they call the dog warden / parking compliance. They have made this rule so that the person also goes out and does the one-way street problems and things like that, and gets the fines to them, which then in actuality pays for itself, and it ends up making it so that the streets are safer, and at the same time, it's funding so that the animal control situation can be done. So I thought I'd throw that out there in case anybody would be interested in looking that up. And last but not least, I'm just checking, I know that Mr. Clark is not here today. I am in need of some assistance, I don't know where to go. And it's very difficult at times when you call up, because you still cannot get in freely inside here, to ask for things and you put in requests. I'm in the midst of getting ready. We're all talking about improvements and renovations, and I'm getting ready to start renovations on 214 South Main. And I have requested that I could block for half the alley to put my dumpster container in. And that has been on the docket for over a week, and I haven't heard back yet. So I'm slightly frustrated. I mean, I knew that we had challenges with Wood County and we moved that for the others, you know, but I thought something as simple as being able to get the canister container approved, but I'm not getting a response. I have left a couple messages, so hopefully that will be addressed in the very near future, because we would like to get started on that project. And that's pretty much all I have to say on items for follow-up. But again, like I said, I'm really interested in the Park and Recs, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Tom Bellish from Buckeye Energy Brokers. I wanted to speak on the electric aggregation program, the possibility of restarting that. We have our plans are a fixed price, so residents always know what they're paying, so an advantage with us. We currently work with Sandusky and Fremont in their electric programs, and we could implement one by January, which would be just over half of what AEP charges. So anyone that's with AEP is probably paying $470 a year, more than the market rate. The market rate right now is probably 6.5 cents instead of the 11.2 that AEP is at. So that's what our company specializes in. We were the first to implement electric aggregation in Ohio, and just wanted to drop some information off about us and a schedule on how it could be implemented and save residents a lot of money versus the AEP rate.
How long has Sandusky and Fremont been with you?
So I've been working with Sandusky for about 20 years now, and then Fremont probably about 18 years. So I started this when Ohio first deregulated, so 23 years is how long we've been in business. So Sandusky is currently at 4.65 cents, and Fremont's at 4.68 cents per kilowatt hour. So we did some long-term contracts. When prices were low during the pandemic, we locked in for 4 years, and so that's worked out well for them. And so we'd like to lock in fixed rate here as well, and go from there.
So do you charge a fee to get out or in?
No. We in the industry, that's probably pretty much gone away. So suppliers really don't do that anymore. There are less and less suppliers all the time. It's being consolidated, but there are 3 or 4 that are bidding now. That there'd be no fee to get in, and you can opt in at any time as well.
Okay. You have copies of your stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
page 4 really shows the difference in the AEP rate. It used to be a competitive rate. It's just been so risky to bid on those auctions that set that price that suppliers are hesitant to bid on them now, and the AEP rate is significantly more than market rate. So with aggregation and our knowledge of the market, we'd like to offer our services and advice to the city to get the best rate.
So how are you compensated?
So we're paid by the supplier. So we have a fee agreeable by the city, would be in our agreement, and I can forward one of those as well. And so that's included in the price when the resident gets the offer through the mail. It would already be in there in the price. So there's no cost to the city.
They have both electric and natural gas.
Yeah, we offer both. We were also the first company to implement a natural gas aggregation as well in 2002. That was the first year possible. Being the first certified energy broker in Ohio, we are able to also implement the program's first one. So we've been doing that for 21 years now. We're a little different. We have a toll-free number. Residents can call us directly, answer any questions, get advice. If they're with somebody else, to get advice to switch, not switch, or what they can do, what's best for them. So we offer that. Residents can call us directly. Or anybody on council, if they have any questions as well, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Bellish.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think we've got like 4 different offers, or 4 different suggestions, and do we need to have a special meeting to even review this and go through it? Figure out what are we gonna do?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
Paul Allison, 118.5 West Center Street, Apartment 2. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Zoning Appeals, of which I'm a member. We support both the fencing ordinance and the animal chicken ordinance, and we participated, particularly the zoning inspector participated in writing them, and we support them. And I want to make that clear. The other thing is, if you're looking for a good place to have lunch, you might want to try the American Legion, which has lunch open to the public at reasonable prices. I've seen Don there, I've seen Eric there, among others. So I suggest you give it a try. They're open for lunch from 11 to 2, Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Paul, I got a question
Yes?
regarding this fencing legislation that we have. Up to this point, we don't allow carte blanche the ability to put chain link fence in the front yards. And from your side of the fence, from your side of, on that committee, why would you advocate chain link fence in people's front yards?
That was the consensus of the committee, particularly Kevin Majors, who spoke here at last time and presented that amendment. The overall thinking of the Board of Zoning Appeals was that we we would permit chain link fences under certain circumstances. And there was an amendment passed at the last council meeting to put that in, to eliminate that part from the ordinance, the prohibition. And I think that's the way I read the ordinance now, the new one that I just got.
Yeah.
So that was the thinking of the entire Board of Zoning Appeals, particularly Kevin Majors.
I don't know where they're coming from, but maybe I'm just ignorant. I just don't like the idea of chain link fence in front yards.
Well, some chain link fences don't look that bad. Can everybody hear me?
Thank you, yes.
I'm just checking out the sound system. I spent all year suggesting we get it done, so I'm checking it out.
It works.
Mr. Allison. Well, we'll sing along.
I was going to just comment to Greg.
Yeah.
I think the chain link fence is maybe a real non-issue because the fact of putting one in is more expensive than putting up a wood fence one. And it, in general, people don't supply that easily. You have to go to a special contractor even to get one installed. So, just my comment.
My wife's in favor of it. She'd like 8 foot, so she can keep me home.
Seeing no other public comment, we'll go into old business. Clerk, would you read the first ordinance, please?
An ordinance to amend section 505.21 of the codified ordinances of the city of Fostoria, Ohio to be titled Regulations Regarding Keeping of Chickens.
Make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilperson Lake and a second by Councilperson Logston to adopt the chicken ordinance. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Manal,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes,
Baker,
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
That does pass. It is ordinance number 2023-42. I'd like to read the next one.
An ordinance to amend section 1125.04 of the codified ordinances of the city of Fostoria, Ohio titled Fencing.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
And we have a switch of rules. We have a first by Logston and a second by Lake on this ordinance. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Manal,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
no,
Baker,
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
That ordinance does pass. It's ordinance number 2023-43. Clerk, would you read the last one? When you get a chance.
Yeah. An ordinance adopting and amending ordinance number 2022-75, permanent 2023 appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated funds in the general fund, street construction, maintenance and repair fund, brownfield grant fund, and charter governmental fund, and declaring an emergency.
Make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule on 3 separate occasions.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule by Councilperson Lake, seconded by Councilperson Mendoza. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Manel,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
yes,
Baker,
Yes.
Mendoza,
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
The 3 reading rule has been waived.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mendoza, a second by Logston to adopt this legislation. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Manel,
Yes.
Cassidy,
yes,
Shaver,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
That motion carries. This is ordinance number 2023-44.
Ooh, 44.
There is no new business this evening. Is there any reason to go into executive session?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to request executive session to cover personnel matters and potential appointments.
Do you have a second?
yeah.
Who seconded it? Sorry. Cassidy? All right, is there going to be business to follow?
should not be any business to follow.
We will vote, but we'll move the miscellaneous up prior to us going back there, so the people in the gallery do not have to wait for us to return, because there will be no business to follow other than an adjournment. So what we will call a vote on the motion by Manel, second by Cassidy, to go into executive session for personnel matters, considering the appointment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee or official. Call the roll, please.
Manal,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Mendoza.
Yes.
Logsdon.
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
All right, before we move, we'll go into miscellaneous. Does anybody have any miscellaneous this evening?
Yes, one, the YMCA is hosting the Bash in the Park which is supporting Foundation Park from 5 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, September 14th. Tickets are $20 a piece.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other miscellaneous? Seeing none, we will go into executive session at 6:51. And again, we will come out and adjourn, but there is no business to follow. The personnel matters you have to